I'll start with a quick recap, very quickly for anybody who hasn't been yet. So we're on to the Buildings and Urban Scenes project. We're into week 3, and what I'm going to do today is just talk a little bit about using charcoal, which is very messy material. So if anybody fancies getting a mess, I'll also do a little bit on pencil like graphite as well. So a quick recap to start with. So the first week talked a little bit about two-point perspective. So using these sorts of examples, and the idea is that if you're drawing anything on this side, you'll find that everything is at a different angle. So all these angles will fan out for things like the guttering level, top of the windows, bottom of the windows, kind of these window bars, and you'll find that things on this side, they'll all go back to the vanishing point here. On this side, they'll all go back, including things like the chimney, that should all go back to a vanishing point on here. So that's a very quick recap on two-point perspective. Last week I talked a little bit about other things like drawing street scenes. So what I'm suggesting is that you start maybe in the distance and draw maybe buildings or things in the distance, then work your way out to the sides. And also talked a little bit about using line and wash. So that's an example of one of my where I've used a bit of pen and added some watercolour or gouache over the top of that. And I also talked about using, if you wanted to use, so that's watercolour, you can also use pens, like my example. So that one was using, I showed you that one, which is pens called Tombow pens. And yeah, so that's that kind of pen, sort of different. I use different shades of grey. I use plus a black liner. So that's that. I thought today, yeah, as I say, charcoal. So if you've used charcoal before, there's really two kinds. This is the kind that I started using, that I first came across, which is what they call willow charcoal, or sometimes it's called vine charcoal. And it really is just literally, it's twigs turned into charcoal, sort of gone through that charcoal creating process. And then another kind you can get is this sort of, this is called compressed charcoal. So this is like a very dark, dense black, and it's much more regular. You can also get charcoal pencils, which are more like the compressed charcoal. So this would be an example of charcoal pencil. You're welcome to try all these. And the other thing I thought I'd talk about while we're on this sort of theme is these kind of graphite sticks. So they're not charcoal, they're graphite, but it's sort of similar in the way you could use them. So if I was going to, now what you'll find is that with the vine charcoal, you can pop that down and blend it in. It also the kind of surface you're drawing on makes quite an impact to your drawing. So on something with a fair texture, I can get that quite dark. If I'm working on a smoother paper like this one, it's easier to get a lighter blend, and to me it doesn't go quite as dark. Yeah, to me that's a sort of lighter grey than what I can get on the more textured paper. So the paper's worth playing around with and experimenting with. So that's just a bit of smooth printed paper, and this is like my normal drawing paper. And with the vine charcoal, you can remove it quite a bit. So I can that little patch there, I could get a plastic rubber, and it won't go completely white, but I can get it back to almost like a pale grey, like rubbing areas out. Morning. The compressed charcoal is very different. If I put an area of compressed charcoal down, it's much darker to start with. And particularly if you sort of blend that in, work that into the pores of the paper. If I remove this, I can get it a little bit lighter, but it won't go quite as light as that. So the way I tend to draw it is I tend to, I suppose the other thing about compressed charcoal is it's more likely to stick on the paper. With the willow charcoal, just lost my bit, let's get a bit, it will, you can very easily smudge it and wipe it off. This drawing of the high street is a bit of a mixture of both. So I think the lines look like a compressed charcoal. It's a long time since I drew this. I think I started this as a demo though, and did the lines with compressed charcoal, and then worked in with the willow charcoal to get shades. So it's easier to get a range of shades. So that's that. The other thing you can do is you can use like a putty rubber and just lift out little tiny bits if you want. Just just be a little bit more kind of directional. Or you can use the mechanical rubbers if you've got one of those, which I've got somewhere. Right, so that's the different kinds. I'll just pop that there. If I was going to draw something like this building here, I'll just do a very quick sort of demo. So I'm thinking probably to anywhere that's light, I want to just keep that fairly light. So I'll keep this end here. And that actually wants to be higher than it. And that wants to go that way. And then the side of the chimney come back down that way. Yeah, I'll just draw a small section of this. And I thought this was quite a nice image because you've got quite a range of tones, like very dark in the trees, lighter here. And these are more kind of mid-tones. That's slightly lighter than that. I tend to start by just putting some tone in all the areas that I want tone. So I'm going to leave this space light. I might just tone that lightly with my finger, just a tiny bit with my finger. So this can work in quite dark. And then what you find is you'll see a lot of the grain of the paper. So I tend to work that in, usually with my hands, but you could use, if you've got those paper blenders, they're quite good for working the charcoal in, which I've probably got somewhere, but I haven't got it to hand, so just use my fingers to start with. So that gives me a kind of nice mid-tone, a kind of overall grey. And then if I want any areas slightly dark on that, this bit I don't want too light, so I'll just work that into the paper. It's nice for kind of soft blending. This side, I'll just use a tiny bit on my finger, but I don't want that too dark at all. So just a little bit, just to suggest some texture there. And then once I've got to that stage, I can then draw in some deeper shadows. So you can see it's a very, very quick medium if you want to draw tonal value. So the window itself, I'm just going to leave a little bit of that showing and blend that in. So just try and draw a few dots. This is where I might go over to the charcoal pencil, just because it's it comes to a point a bit easier. So over a few marks with charcoal pencil. I think that would work. There's another window down the bottom here. So it can be quite nice to sort of combine a couple of the different pencils and then maybe go back to the willow charcoal as well. A little bit of that in. Another thing you can do if you want is you can use, so if I want to keep that drawing I need to use some fixative, so I might have some hairspray or fixative, don't know, I haven't checked my bag actually, but sometimes I carry that around. So hairspray is quite a good cheap way of fixing them. You get fixative itself is quite expensive, but hairspray works pretty well.
Once you've fixed it, can you still go over it?
Yeah, you can, yeah. What you won't be able to do is remove what you've got. But it's quite nice because you could fix a layer.
Yeah.
Like, so if I want that layer and then want to go maybe a bit darker, I think I've got some fixative in a little spray thing here. this might be hairspray, just try. So ideally, if you're doing hairspraying fixture, do it outside because the smell can get to some people. This isn't an aerosol, it's just one of those, that kind. Yeah, that'll probably work. Yeah, you could do that, let it dry, and then you could always put another layer on. So that can be quite nice. If you want to keep a layer, you don't want to go, but you want to add a little bit more. That's another way to work. Yeah, so quite a nice thing too. If you want to experiment with it, if you want to use any of these, you're very welcome. I've got loads. I've got like a lifetime supply of charcoal that people have donated to me, so you're welcome to use them too.
Sorry, Paul, with the paper, those paper smooth things, you know, those ones, yeah?
Yes.
Once you, did you sharpen it or what do you
No,
do?
I don't. What I do is I tend to just have quite a few of them,
Right.
and I keep maybe one for a light. You know, so if I was using pastels, use one for a light one, one for a dark one. What you can do is sand them down a bit. That's what I tend to do. Because I find that if you start trying to sharpen them, they're just paper.
Paper peels.
Yeah, and they just unwind.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just use a bit of sandpaper and just go and clean that way. Like that. Yeah, and they give
And they give you a ball with it, yeah.
Yeah, and you can with those little emery boards. I've got a few. These are like little nail files. Again, you can do the same with charcoal if you wanted to just get a sharp edge. You can even draw in a way that you create a sharp edge. I mean that's lovely sharp edge, something like that. But you can or just sand it.
Okay, good to go.
Yeah.
Where did you start?
Where did I start? I think probably back here, and then work my way across. Yeah. I usually start somewhere in the distance with something small.
Yeah.
Work out.
Yeah.